hitting those 2 threes. What does that kind of say about him as a player?
He a vet. I like I said, I have a lot of confidence in him. I love him. He's a brother to me as well. He picks me up. He's always on my ass on defense. I practice and all that stuff, and that's what it's all about. Him picking me up, me picking him up, and that's the brotherhood that we have on the team that I have with him, and a lot of confidence. He a vet. He a senior. He knows the game, and I know for a fact, and I know for sure that he's always going to be ready to make big time shots because he's a big time player, and big time players make big time play at the end of the game.
Thanks, Andre.
Okay, Jim Matson, you're up. Alec on deck, Joey, and then Robert. We're going to Robert then after that. Go ahead.
Hey, Andre, the guts to make that pass at the end of the game to Kofi. I mean, kind of a risky turnover, risk reward, but you just have confidence you're going to get that. I mean, you never lose the kind of I'm going to make a play attitude.
Yeah, just like that. And I know I sometimes I force my passes, and I know sometimes I do silly things on the court. I know sometimes. Sometimes and I know it, and I'm here accepting it like a man, and I know it, and I'm getting better at that. And as the games goes by, as practice goes by, days go by, I'm continuing to improve. And I'm not afraid of making those passes. I can leave with my passes because sometimes not a lot of people see what I see. So I saw it, and I have confidence in myself, and like I said, I have confidence in Kofi. I knew he was going to get it. I gave it to him.
Great win tonight. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, Alec, we're going to skip you for a second. There's a couple people that are there. Robert, go ahead. Then Gavin, and then Scott Ritchie. Go ahead, Robert.
Yeah, Andre, I'm curious about specifically the timeout with about 2:30 left, right after Io fouled out. What the conversation was with the coaches, everyone else of what to do next.
Well. That like I said, we did that. That's our best player. We didn't have him on the court, so nothing crazy. To be honest with you, it was just get ready to play, step up. Guys had to step up, and that was pretty much it. Just step up, get stops. Ugly first half defensively and offensively, but emphasizing the defense side. That's all we talked about all second half, all overtime on those little timeouts. That's literally all we will talk about, just getting stops and win the ball game and make the right decisions.
Did you have any conversations with Io in those last 7 minutes, 2 minutes of regulation and 5 minutes of overtime?
Yeah, right. I mean, not during the because he was out, so I couldn't really be talking to him. But before when he fouled out, and a couple minutes before while he was in the game, and throughout the whole game, I was talking to him. I respect him. He's a really, really good player. He works really hard. He works extremely hard every day in the gym, putting shots before practice, after practice, and I knew he was struggling, and I saw it because Indiana came ready to guard him, and like I said, a lot of credit to Indiana for that. And I was just trying to cheer him up and be there for him because I know I'm a freshman and I know he's a vet, but. That don't matter at the end of the day. We're both great basketball players. We both play for each other and for the team. So at the end of the day, like same with Trent, he's gonna pick me up and I'm gonna pick him up. So that's what I was doing throughout the whole game.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay, Gavin, go ahead, and then Scott Ritchie. Go ahead, Gavin.
Andre, you talked about the defensive effort a little bit just now, but how overtime defense and getting those stops repeatedly?
Oh, it was important. We started the overtime with 2 charges. I think we didn't, to be honest with you guys, I don't think we won the ball game because of our offense and all that. Yeah, that plays a part of it, but our defense was huge in the overtime. Started with 2 charges. That gave us a lot of energy. That gave us an extra pump. And those 2 plays right there were big time. And in my opinion, those were the plays that made us win the game. Those 2 defensive stops.
That's it for me.
Okay. Scott Ritchie, this will be the last question for Andre.
Andre, just as a team, what do you guys have to do? Maybe what did you do today when there's 54 total fouls called in a game, and maybe there's not a lot of rhythm, and you just maybe kind of have to deal with that?
It's rough. It was a rough game. It was an ugly game, like I've been saying. we like to play fast. That's what we like to do. And we just like I've been saying, we have to just get stops because the defense, we're gonna be the things that we're gonna get us into offense. We're more like smooth, more pace, because we get stops, they miss, we get a rebound, now we can run. But if we fouled and all that, game slows down, and then we have to play in the half court. It's a little slower game, but I loved our defense in that second half and overtime, and I'm not really worried about offense because our defense was the thing that won us the game at the end.
All right, thank you, Andre. We'll go ahead and switch to Coach Underwood here.
Coach is going to sit right down here. We'll just keep going.
Okay.
Before
Folks start getting lined up in the in line. We'll start in the folks here in Bloomington first. So, Coach, why don't you go ahead and start with an opening statement, and then we'll open up for questions.
Really, it was a tale of two halves. It was the first time in a while that I've been really, really upset with my basketball team at halftime, and giving up 41 points was not conducive to going to win on the road. And again, give Indiana a lot of credit. They were well prepared, and they really hurt us with some short rolls out of their ball screen action. We lost Durham early, and it was just we were lethargic, and they whipped us. I think 22 points and 10 rebounds from Trace Jackson-Davis and Race Thompson in the first half. Really challenged our guys at halftime. I have not done that in a long time, or had to do that, but we responded. Georgie Bashanishvili, plus 23 in the plus minus was a huge impact. You saw we played a little bigger tonight. I couldn't be happier with our two seniors, Trent Frazier and DeMonte Williams. Io had a tough night, and again, give them credit. But Trent stepped up, did what he did, banged a couple threes. DeMonte's defense, rebounding, and then obviously stepping up and making two free throws was huge. But guy you just talked to, Curbelo, really controlled the second half, I thought. From the offensive standpoint, got the ball in the paint, broke them down, and then obviously a great feed to Kofi down the stretch. So really good college basketball game. I'm really proud of our guys opening the overtime with back-to-back charges, and that's what you have to do to win on the road, is show that grit and toughness. And Jake and Ace did a great job doing that. So happy to get out of here. First time since 2010 Illinois won in here, and tough place to play and against a very good basketball team.
Okay, thanks, Coach. We'll start with some of the folks who are there. Robert, Gavin, Derek, and Scott, and then Brandon. So we'll go in that order. Go ahead, Robert.
Yeah, Coach, 2 baskets for Indiana from the 6:30 mark of the second half until through overtime, really. 11 and a half minutes. They scored with 30 seconds left in regulation and scored with 7 seconds left. Tell me about your defense in those 11 minutes.
Well, we made a nice adjustment at halftime. We were a little bit deep in our ball screens. We moved Kofi up a little bit to try to take the short roll away. And to be quite honest, we just played harder. But again, I thought we were effective, much more effective in the second half, just because of our effort and our commitment to trying to guard. And again, they whooped us the first half. But anytime you do that on the road, you give yourself a chance. I thought we had great looks tonight offensively, and the ball didn't go in. And it's what I always preach. You got to find a way to win when the ball doesn't go in. And Indiana's a great defensive team, not a good one, a great one. And we won one tonight with our defense.
And tell me what a win like this, on the road against the rival in overtime, what it can kind of do to boost the season.
We'll find out, I guess. It's obviously something that we take a lot of pride in. We talk a lot about winning on the road. We talk about toughness. We talk about grit. That's why I was upset at half. We didn't have that. We were way too much talk and not enough pop, I guess. But again, I don't want to slight Indiana because they were ready to play tonight and took it to us in the first half.
Thanks.
Okay, Gavin, you're up. Derek on deck. Go ahead, Gavin.
Brad, it seemed like Kofi was able to force Trace Jackson Davis into a lot of tough positions. I know he scored 19, but it took him 18 shots to get there. How do you evaluate Kofi's performance in the defensive end?
Well, again, it was a tale of two halves. The first half, Kofi wasn't very active and he wasn't very good. Just indicative of his into half, just not even putting a hand up and letting Trace make a shot at the buzzer. I challenged Kofi at halftime, and he's got to be better than that. And he was so elite in practice on the defensive side yesterday. I was in awe. I've never seen a guy be that dominant defensively, and so I was shocked today when he came out like that. But second half, he walled up. He made it hard. Anytime you're holding a guy like Trace to the 19 on 18 shots, you've done a heck of a job.
Absolutely. And then I think Trent scored 11 straight points for you guys down the stretch going into OT. How clutch was his play today, especially with Ayo fouled out?
Yeah, thank goodness. I mean, it's nice to have a great option, and he was it. We kept running actions to him. We tried to put him in space where we knew they would tag off of him. He hits a couple shots, and again, you know, a guy who's been in a lot of wars. He's been in this building before, and you know, we're almost shocked when Trent misses one now because he's been on such a burner.
Thanks.
Okay, Derek Piper, you're up. Scott Ritchie on deck. Go ahead.
Hey, Coach, I know you talked about finding different ways to win games and how they can maybe prepare you down the road. To be able to close it out without your closer and Ayo, what do you think that said about the team?
A lot. You know what? And at the end of the day, this game could resonate a lot because we didn't have him, and we played with a good portion of the second half without him. And you know, Ayo had a tough night, and Indiana deserves a lot of that credit. But again, it was, you know, Curbelo, I thought, controlled the second half. Trent's shots. Then we got Kofi the ball. We got great looks for Ace. We got a couple of easy opportunities with Georgie and post ups. We just had a little better flow. So it was that, and to guys to step up and make free throws. I'm still upset Bello missed a couple free throws because he usually doesn't miss those. He's usually very clutch. But yeah, all in all, it's nice to win when your All-American doesn't have it that night.
I know after Ohio State, you had some tough heart-to-heart conversations with the guys to be able to bounce back to beat Iowa, to win this kind of game. What do you think that says about the response? What have you seen out of the guys since then?
Yeah, they care. This team had to maybe reset and refocus on some of their goals. And you know, we hit a lull, we hit a flat spot, which is everybody does in this league. You know, we bounced back a little bit, so I'm excited about that.
Thanks.
Hey, Scott Ritchie, and then Brandon. Go ahead, Scott.
Brad, when you mentioned maybe Bello taking over that second half, just what difference did he make offensively? Maybe just going out there and making something happen after things looked a little stagnant offensively, you know, when he was on the bench with 2 fouls in the first half.
Well, you know, Stephen Gentry does a lot with our offense, and we just started putting him in ball screens, in middle ball screens, where we opened the court up, and Gent just kept calling that number, and it was an open court, and he's very hard to handle in the open court. And he found the paint, he sprayed it, he got there a couple times, he missed a couple layups he usually makes, but again, the court just opens up, and then that opens players up, and it got Trent a couple looks, and obviously the pass at the end of the game was a pass not many guys made.
And I mean, this feels like it happened forever ago, but what type of explanation did you get for that technical on Trent? And then maybe any thoughts you had on 54 total fouls, you know, tonight?
No, I won't. I mean, Trent hollered cash after he hit it and said he taunted. So they teed him, and you know, again, you have to adjust every single night to how the game's being officiated, and we've got to do a better job of that. And but it was, it kept them in it. Holding them to 2 field goals in the last, whatever it was, 14 minutes or whatever, 11 minutes. It was just a parade to the free throw line. We got to be better at not fouling in those situations and to understand how the game's being called.
Thanks, man.
Okay, we'll go Brandon, then Rob, and then Joey. Go ahead, Brandon.
Brad, talk to me about DeMonte. I mean, he doesn't play much in the Iowa game, and he didn't have a ton of action tonight, but then at the end of the game, he comes in overtime and makes some huge plays. So how proud are you of him?
Again, first time in a long time, DeMonte's really healthy and does what a senior does. He had a great week of practice. It showed. It paid off. It was again a unique time because DeMonte played a lot more at the guard spot tonight than he usually does guard and power forwards because of Georgie's minutes. But it worked out great because we had so much foul problems. That gives us the luxury that we could play Jacob there, we could play DeMonte there, and I thought Adam Miller was unbelievable defensively after the first 2 minutes of the game. So I felt comfortable with him in there as well. But I'm really proud of DeMonte. And last time he went to that line of the game on the line against Maryland, he missed him. And to step back up on the road and make him, I'm really proud of him.
You went up to him and had a moment with him at the end. Do you kind of remember what you said to him after the game?
Yeah, but I won't tell you that.
Thanks, Brad.
Okay, Rob, go ahead, and then Joey.
Brad, I hope this question doesn't seem silly. We're all going to be writing about officiating, and I wonder if this.
Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. That was a great win. Don't do that. There was a lot of fouls called both ways.
I hear you.
It was a hell of a college basketball game with 2 good teams.
Particularly, I want to know, is that the first time you've seen Lewis Garrison since the incident?
That's a great question. I have to go back and look. I don't know that.
So did you have any conversation with him about it?
No.
Okay. That's all I got. Thanks.
Joey, you're up, and then Matt Stevens. Go ahead, Joey.
Brad, it looked like Andre defensively was really, really engaged, had his hands in a lot of things. When he's piecing together both sides of the floor like that, what does that do for you guys?
Well, you guys should see his scouting report. He's a note-taking guy, when it comes to scouting reports and knowing, and he's dialed into other teams' play calls. He's very vocal on the defensive side. That helps him a lot. But, if I could just get him to quit doing the silly fouls, trying to back tap and do all that so he could stay in the game, the first half might have been a little different. But yeah, he's a great anticipator. He sees things. He understands. He's got I say this a little bit, he's a savant in terms of his ability to remember and retain. He sees a play once, he knows what's coming. And so he's able to echo that call or that play to his teammates. And that's he's had to adjust to guarding the ball better, but he's done a nice job of that as well.
And then tonight, obviously, without Iowa, it was necessitated a little bit for him to have the ball so much in the closing stretch of a big game here. But how much has your trust grown in him from day one to where it's at now?
Well, I've always knew he was a talented player, and again, when you've got a guy like Io and you've got a senior in Trent, you've got to earn your stripes, and obviously. Without Iowa in the game tonight, Iowa, everybody knows, is the elite closer in college basketball. And tonight, it had to be him. And we were putting Trent in positions, what we call shake positions, where they couldn't tag, they couldn't help. And so it was a great night. It was a great learning moment for him, and one that I'll continue to gain a lot of confidence in.
Thanks, Brad.
Okay, Matt Stevens, and then if we've got time, we'll go Jeremy and Alec. Go ahead, Matt.
Brad, I couldn't help but notice during the entire overtime, Armand Franklin either didn't touch it or barely touched it. 2 things. 1, I guess I'm giving you another opportunity to campaign for Trent. But 2, there's 4 other guys on the floor that understood the scouting report from that during that 5-minute overtime too. Can you kind of talk about what goes into that and just how this team has evolved in that regard of understanding how to get things done on that end of the floor in terms of the scouting report?
Yeah, it's huge. I always refer back to the Baylor game when we had one player make 10 mistakes, in terms of ball screen coverage. I bet there's not 10 out there tonight. There were some early, but yeah. And I mean, when it's winning time, you can't make mistakes, and you have to force opponents into something they don't want to do when they're trying to run their very best play or their very best action. And Franklin's been their guy. He's a terrific player. He's going to be a pain in the butt for the next couple of years to face. But Trent did a great job. Kofi, Georgie did an elite job. DeMonte, in our ball screen coverages, we switched some with DeMonte, and that gives you the luxury with DeMonte to do a lot of switching, which was really a positive in the end.
Thank you, Brad. Appreciate it.
Okay, Jeremy Werner, and then Alec will finish it up maybe. Go ahead, Jeremy.
Hey, Brad, 1.28 points per possession. I think Indiana was first half, and then you finish under one, or you held them to under one after I think it was 0.4 in the overtime. What's the key to your team locking in defensively, whether it's mindset or what scouting report things?
Well, I hope it's a majority of it is energy and a focus in it. And again, it's a really fine line between being that false sense of emotion that's not real, where you're really not dialed in. And again, we had 3 mistakes in the first 3 possessions, allowed buckets, and you can't do that. And again, I challenged this group at halftime. I was not very happy, and this group is now mature, can respond, and stayed focused and dialed in. And like I said, we made some subtle changes that worked. So kudos to our guys for picking that up, and we just got to make sure we don't do that again, because a lot of times you're not going to come away with the road win when you're not focused.
Can this team be better defensively than last year, and if so, why?
Yes, way more versatility. That's why I keep driving it. That's why I keep harping on it. That's why we spend 2/3 of our practice on it. For us to get where we need to go, we have to be like we were in the second half, and this team can be elite because of DeMonte Williams, because of Jacob Grandison, because of Georgie, the way he played tonight. Curbelo, Adam Miller has turned into an elite on-ball defender. I mean, we've got him on fantasy in the second half. And you throw Trent and Io out there, and all of a sudden, you got some guys who are very capable of guarding. So it's just putting that chemistry together, Jeremy.
Thanks, Brad.
Okay, and we'll wrap it up with Alec. Go ahead, Alec. This will be the last one.
Brad, you've been really high praise to Georgie tonight. I know he fouled out, and his energy to me in the second half seemed to be really good. Can you comment on that a little bit? He seemed to just be able to be on a different level emotionally and energy-wise in the second half after he hit that 3 in the corner.
Yeah, I mean, he's such a big part of our team from that standpoint, not just physically, emotionally. I mean, he missed a little bunny. I mean, we want to run offense to Georgie, and Georgie's been in with Orlando every day this week, at the end of last week, and he's been getting up 400 or 500 threes every single day. So it's nice to see him rewarded by making a 3. And that's an option that I want to be able to have is Georgie playing with Kofi, and not just as his support off the bench. And it's a nice luxury to have. And Georgie was terrific tonight. I love when Georgie's like that.
And then a quick follow-up if there's time. Jacob Grandison didn't see as many minutes in the second half. I know you said that he's been kind of battling some injuries. Is that kind of what went into his limited minutes in the second half, or what kind of went into your decision to keep him on the bench a little bit more?
It wasn't that. It was just more of the coincidence of the game. I didn't think I think he had a tough time with race tonight. DeMonte's strength, DeMonte's extremely strong. Georgie was more about playing bigger. We actually played Jacob a lot more kind of on a perimeter spot defensively tonight than we did at the 4. So just kind of the way the game went, Alec, and he'll be back and ready to go on Saturday.